Hey guys, it's me here. And on May 3rd, 2007, this was the view from the Ocean View Holiday Apartments overlooking the Algarve coast in Portugal. A quiet evening, the sun setting over the Atlantic. In the distance, the lights twinkling on the marina of Portimão. For most tourists staying in these apartments, it would be a typical sight when booking a trip to the seaside resort of Praia da Luz. But for the next 24 hours or so, it would become one of the most haunting vistas in modern history. Later that evening, two parents would eat dinner 55 meters from where this drone footage was taken, and in their apartment nearby, their three young children would sleep, including their 7-year-old daughter, Madeleine. What happened next has left everyone baffled and continues to this day. When Kate and Jerry McCann returned to the apartment, they discovered that their daughter had vanished. So here we go then, in chronological order, minute by minute, hour by hour, everything we know about how Madeleine McCann disappeared. At around 7:30 p.m. on Wednesday, May 2007, Kate and Jerry McCann, along with friends Fiona Payne and Russell O'Leary, headed out to the tapas bar, Amigos, just a 5-minute walk away. Kate and Jerry had left their children, 9-year-old twins Sean and Amelie, and 7-year-old Madeleine, asleep in the apartment. They had checked on them briefly a short time before leaving, but were reassured that all three were fast asleep. And the couple agreed to take turns checking on them throughout the evening, returning to the bar after 20 or 30 minutes each time. Jerry went first, heading back to the apartment at about 8 p.m. He checked on the kids and returned to the bar, leaving Kate to check on the children about half an hour later. But when she got back to the apartment at around 9:30, she discovered that Madeleine was nowhere to be seen. No broken glass, no signs of forced entry. The window was shut, but the shutters were open. The door to the balcony was locked, but there was a gap near the top where the little girl could have slipped through. There was no sound of struggling, no screams or shouts, just a gaping hole where their daughter should have been. Within minutes, Kate's friends and the apartment owner arrived, but there was nothing they could do. The couple immediately alerted Portuguese authorities and began searching frantically for their daughter, calling her name, rushing around the area. The last person to see Madeleine alive was Kate. When questioned, she told officers that she'd returned to the apartment at 9:30 and found their daughter missing. She said she'd called Jerry to come back straight away. She then dialed 112. By 10:15, she was speaking to the first emergency operator. Within an hour, more than 20 officials were scouring the area for any sign of Madeleine. Officers spoke to neighbors. Divers checked the pool. Helicopters circled overhead. Search teams even looked under parked cars. But by midnight, with no answers and no sign of their daughter, the couple were starting to panic. Kate, understandably, was hysterical. "Help me find my daughter," she screamed, collapsing in tears. "I don't care about anything else." At 1 a.m., Kate and Jerry were taken back to the apartment, where they were asked further questions about their movements that evening. Initially, the officers were courteous, but both Kirsty and Jerry felt something wasn't right. No roadblocks were set up, no border alerts issued. It seemed like no one was looking for their missing daughter. After the visit, the couple returned to the apartment and waited anxiously for updates. Jerry later said, "We felt we needed to get our heads around it. We thought we had to try to work out what had happened, if it was an accident, if she had wandered off somewhere." The couple didn't even receive a phone call telling them what the next step was. They had to continuously contact the officers themselves. By 4:30 a.m., the exhausted couple decided to rest, but neither slept a wink. At 8 a.m., the officer returned to interview Kate and Jerry again. They learned that blood-spattered clothes found near the apartment belonged to a Portuguese worker who had cut his hand while doing renovations. And although the forensic team visited the apartment, which was full of valuable evidence, they took nothing away for testing, apparently assuming that anyone who broke into the property would have stolen the kids instead of leaving them behind. From this point on, the investigation began to unravel. Nothing appeared to happen. No public appeals, no raids, no new lines of inquiry. It soon became clear to Kate and Jerry that they were dealing with a police force that was both incompetent and uninterested in finding their daughter. One investigator would later claim it was a textbook example of what not to do. On May 14th, almost 2 weeks after Madeleine vanished, the couple flew back to Britain. Before leaving, they appealed for her return, urging whoever had her to bring her back safely. On May 15th, exactly 10 days after Madeleine disappeared, the McCanns held a press conference in Rothley, attended by hundreds of reporters and TV crews. It was the first time that they'd spoken publicly since their daughter disappeared. Clearly distressed, Kate fought back tears as she appealed directly to their daughter. "Madeleine, we love you and we miss you very much, and all we want is for you to be back with us safe and sound." Their spokesman, Clarence Mitchell, attacked the Portuguese authorities saying, "We believe the Portuguese authorities are not doing enough." He urged anyone with information about their daughter to contact the police. That evening, detectives appeared on Portuguese television, appealing for information and warning that many people were trying to profit from the investigation. At this point, detectives suggested that Madeleine may have been the victim of an organized crime ring. But just days later, it seemed as though the police were focusing on the parents themselves. On May, Kate and Jerry McCann were named formal suspects in the disappearance. As a result, the couple flew back to Portugal to face questioning. Before doing so, they issued a statement through their spokesman saying, "This development is very distressing. Having the status of arguidos does nothing to advance the search for Madeleine, and only creates more distress for the family. We will continue to do everything we can to find Madeleine and will not be deflected in our pursuit of the truth." The couple spent 4 hours being questioned separately by Portuguese police. They vigorously denied any wrongdoing. Over the next few months, the Portuguese police continued to focus on the McCanns. On September, they announced that the case would be dropped against them. But on October, they issued arrest warrants for the pair. The McCanns were shocked and outraged. With the help of Interpol, they avoided arrest, deciding instead to launch their own private investigation. Meanwhile, the Portuguese police were widely criticized for their handling of the investigation. In early 2008, a second team was brought in to review the evidence. Later that year, the Prosecutor General claimed the investigation was continuing. But according to documents leaked to the press, he believed Madeleine was dead. In 2009, a report was published by a team of independent British experts commissioned by the McCanns. It tore apart the work of the Portuguese police and offered a damning assessment of their efforts. It highlighted mistakes such as officers failing to secure the crime scene, allowing visitors to enter the apartment. Witnesses were not properly interviewed. Evidence was contaminated. Vital evidence was lost forever. It claimed that the police failed to carry out basic tasks, like checking CCTV cameras in the area, interviewing locals, and checking buses and taxis. The report concluded the police response was simply not good enough. For the next 11 years, the case went cold. While the McCanns never stopped looking for their daughter, the police appeared to give up. In July 2016, the case was reopened following a review. The McCanns welcomed the news, but admitted that despite countless searches and media appeals, they hadn't had any significant new leads. Finally, in April 2017, Christian Bruckner, a convicted German sex offender, became the prime suspect. By this time, he'd already served time for abusing a child. Investigators revealed that he lived near Praia da Luz in 2007 and had been convicted of sexually abusing a 7-year-old girl in Portugal. At the time, Portuguese authorities had not linked him to Maddie's disappearance, but revealed that they had been watching him closely. In 2020, German prosecutors said they had sufficient evidence to charge Bruckner with the crime, but they couldn't do so because vital evidence was missing. It's believed that Bruckner fled to Germany shortly after the disappearance. German and Portuguese authorities said they were working together to gather enough evidence to prosecute. In late 2020, newspapers reported that DNA found on items taken from Bruckner's van was a match for Madeleine. But it later transpired that the samples had been taken illegally and could not be used in court. In 2022, a British documentary claimed that Bruckner's cellmate had revealed that the German had confessed to the killing, claiming he'd accidentally smothered the girl during a break-in. However, his lawyer later denied these claims, stating that his client had categorically denied being involved. In 2023, it was reported that German, Portuguese, and British authorities had finally agreed on a way forward and were poised to bring charges. Now the ball really started rolling, but it seems that legal complications mean that charges are still a long way off, if they ever come at all. So, to sum things up, it's now been over 17 years since Madeleine vanished without a trace. No body has ever been found. No one has ever been put on trial, and the family have never had any closure. But every few years, a new tip, a new suspect, a new wave of hope and heartbreak. But in all seriousness, who killed Madeleine McCann? Or did someone take her and raise her as their own? Until the truth is found, the world can only ask, where is Madeleine? That's it for this video, guys. If you liked it, please make sure you hit the subscribe button so you do not miss out on any awesome videos in the future. You can also follow us on social media for all the behind-the-scenes fun stuff. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.